What is a threat in the legal sense? Threat in the legal sense will actually can vary from state to state. So I guess we should address specifically what is a threat in the state of Kentucky. Criminal threats in Kentucky. Kentucky law doesn't use exact phrase terroristic threat in all context because it has statutes that criminalize threatening communications. First degree, KRS 508.075. Intentionally making a threat to commit any act likely to result in the death or serious physical injury, or to substantially damage a school, place of assembly, or government facility. I'm not aware of anything communicated across YouTube from the U.S. state of Kentucky that would match that. Okay, second degree, KRS 508.078. Threatening to commit such acts with intent to cause evacuation or disruption of public places. Example, schools, workplaces. This is a Class D felony. I am not aware of any threats communicated across YouTube from the state of Kentucky that would fit KRS 508.078. Okay. Third degree, KRS 508.080. Threats made with intent, that's a keyword, with intent, to cause another person to fear physical injury to themselves, family, or property. With intent. With intent is pretty key. A rollback would essentially have to be able to get in there to hook up a truck. So, and that's not that's the property. But I'm not aware of any physical injury threats to themselves, family, or property. Oh, property. Okay. Rollback. I guess other than places like Walmart pretending to lower prices, showing a fake old price, put a smiley face and call it a rollback. Okay, a little humor there. Okay, menacing. This is a Class B misdemeanor. I can't talk yet. Misdemeanor. KRS 508.050. Intentionally placing another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent physical injury. Reasonable apprehension. Now, I hate laws that say reasonable, because who gets to decide the definition of reasonable? We'll get back to reasonable here in a minute. Legal criteria in Kentucky: to be prosecuted successfully, the communication must, 1, convey a serious expression of intent to harm, not just trash talk or vague anger. I've seen trash talk and vague anger all over YouTube. Be made with intent to cause fear, evacuation, disruption, or other unlawful effects. Do you know anybody in Indiana who, because of the transmission from Kentucky, evacuated their home or office or workplace? I've heard of this possibly happening, but not coming from Kentucky. Oklahoma. Cause a reasonable person in the context to feel threatened. Reasonable. There's that word reasonable again. What is reasonable? Contextual considerations include school threats, not an issue. Domestic situations, threats between spouses, not an issue. Partners, not an issue. Or family can also justify emergency protective orders, EPOs, or domestic violence orders, DVOs. Doesn't apply here. Free speech. Kentucky courts, like federal courts, must still respect the First Amendment. So idle hyperbole isn't really a threat. Let's go over some examples that I'm aware of. Granted, there may be other examples out there that I'm not aware of. I don't have time to watch every YouTube channel all the time. I barely have time to maintain my own. I am aware of someone in Kentucky offering a few folks to meet him at a geographical location, Fort Knox. And the suggestion would be compare DD-214s for those who have them. At least one person doesn't have a DD-214. And I'm not dunking on the lack of a DD-214. But for those who have them, compare DD-214s, gain legal entry to the base, to the fort, to the post, and go to the pit, where, among other things, combatives are trained on. Combatives is how soldiers train with bugle sticks, bungee sticks, or how they train with bayonets, or non firearm related combatives, person on person. Wow, that sounds pretty scary, especially someone who's trained versus someone who's not. I guess the people who aren't trained in combatives might be trained in other, shall we say, martial arts or other forms of fighting, boxing. I don't know. Okay, so is that a threat? I say, nay, that is not a threat. That is an invitation. The only way a reasonable person could get scared by that is if they choose to accept the invite to meet at the gate and accept the invite to go on in and work things out in the pit. That's an invitation. Might even be hyperbole. Hippie-bole. It's not a threat. He's not saying he's going to someone's address and work things out with the military skill set of combatives. He's inviting you to meet him there. All you got to choose to avoid that, is don't go there. Everyone I'm aware of being invited has no purpose to go to Fort Knox. What are you going to do? Tour the gold depository? No, because hell, even politicians can't tour that. YouTube characters involved with the invitation, what they're calling a threat. They have no purpose to go to Fort Knox at a certain time on a certain day. There's really no business for any of them there. So that's not a threat. I also heard today that there was a threat against dogs. Haven't seen the context. I do trust the source who told me that, but I was thinking about that. The allegation is the allegation that there was a claim that a certain canine or group of canines would be better off dead. That's a dark thought. That's a mean thought. Maybe it's a wish. maybe it's a hope. Is that a threat in itself? A threat against the relative canines, the dogs? And the claim that I trust the person claiming. I don't know about the interpretation of the claim. He said he would do the deed. I'm not familiar with this. Maybe I should have asked the person in private. But did he say he's willing to do the deed if the dog owner wants him to? Or did he say, I'm going to do the deed with or without your permission, or something to that effect? If it's the former, not the latter, it's not a threat. None of these are credible threats because the person making these suggestions, hyperboles, at any point said they would go to the location of the dogs or the people involved. It's dark. It's not nice. We've all said dark and not nice things, but a threat. A threat to the point where a reasonable judge will, 5:54. Okay. I got to head out in the next 6 or 7 minutes. A reasonable judge would take those in those contexts. Maybe there's more stuff I'm not aware of. If this was under sworn testimony, oath under penalty of perjury, I'm missing something here. The suggestion that a child would be better off in the custody of Child Protective Services, CPS, that is their mission, protect children. It could easily be a misunderstanding or a correct understanding of the child's welfare under the parents or guardians that child lives with. So to be better off with people who professionally safeguard children, that's not a threat. It's not a threat. If the parents are good parents, and we don't know, we don't see them offline, we don't see how they go through their day. Well, I think in the hyperbolic mass media known as social media, or quite often anti-social media, I think we kind of exaggerate what a threat is. But when you get to the point where you can actually get a protective order, I don't know, do these things require sworn testimony or a claim under the threat of perjury if it's untrue? I don't know. Now, watched a little bit of Jeff's show from last night. Jeff, you get a lot of shit wrong. Do you get some shit right? I don't know. The people who have brought me pieces of information, are they getting it wrong? But Jeff, you clearly got it wrong when you said inviting, well, you paraphrasing, inviting people who have no need to go to Fort Knox to meet him at Fort Knox. That's not a threat, man. Get over your snowflakey self. Were pews confiscated, or are they going to be confiscated? I don't know, but I did see the accused threatener asked if the EPO or TPO or whatever the kind of protective order was true. He said, "Oh, that was the other thing Jeff said." He said, "Yeah, the order is real. Is it true? I mean, are the details of it true or not?" He didn't specify. But here's Jeff sniping him. By the way, Jeff, pretty cute how you skim over the things that you sniped GS show pieces that included my super chat of $499.99, a penny shy of $500. Somehow you missed that detail. Jeff, I'm asking here, was it because that super chat came with a text reminding people that somebody is not paying their fucking debts? Pay your fucking debt, Jeff. I'm sorry, it's none of my business. There's a credit score, and there's a kind of credit you get with audiences. And I don't see where you have any credit, financial credit, with your audiences. All right. What do you say about the protective order? Oh, yeah. GS said that he understands why judges have to err on the side of caution. He didn't seem bitter about it. He understands why judges have to do this. If the testimony or whatever is submitted to obtain the order is false, 100% false, totally inaccurate, GS is explaining and opining that the judge has to err on the side of caution because it's been known to happen. Someone tries to get a protective order and either doesn't get it or it's not really enforced, and then that someone ends up getting harmed. It has happened, unfortunately. I really don't see where this would happen in this case. Damn it, 6 o'clock. I keep, my timing sucks. Jeff over there sniping it and getting it wrong, as he so often does, twisted that into a confession. Understanding why a judge has to err on the side of caution is not a confession. Jeff, isn't it my understanding that you used to be a law enforcement NCO in the United States Army? I mean, isn't that what MPs do? Enforce laws on military bases and amongst military troops? Maybe that's, I wasn't an MP, so I don't know. But wow. This is why the First Amendment audit community and other communities say never talk to cops, plead the fifth, plead the sixth. The fifth doesn't mean that you're hiding something. The Fifth Amendment means you don't want to give them something that they will twist into a confession of guilt. Twist. GS did not confess to being guilty of whatever is on that protective order. GS explained why judges have to be cautious with this. If the complainant was truly at danger of a threat, he could be theoretically harmed by that protective order not being agreed to. On the other hand, the alleged threatener isn't really directly harmed that they have to confiscate weapons. Yeah, I could see the Second Amendment argument there, but he's not harmed, well, unless someone tries a home invasion, he doesn't have the means to protect himself while his weapons are in custody. I'm not even sure if that's a real thing. Are his weapons being temporarily held? I don't know. But if they are, there's no harm done to the person who has to surrender them. He's not a hunter. He's not in a job of security. The only thing he has to secure to keep safe is his home. And quite frankly, people have been doxing his home for before we knew him on YouTube. Doxers dox, that's what they do. And when doxers dox, there are dark people out there who think they can act upon it in a negative way. So the only way GS is harmed by this temporary surrender of his weapons is if someone was to attempt harm on his property or home. So he's willing to go along with the protection order. I'm not even sure what kind of protection order, but I just briefed you on Kentucky law, the KRSs. Was that Kentucky? Not sure what KRS stands for, but apparently that's Kentucky something. Like it, I don't know. 603. Okay. And finally, friends, YouTube friends, real friends, friends inside and outside of YouTube. People in these YouTube channels who take sides of issues, often those issues are, do we get along with people or do we not get along with people? Sides. I know we've come a long way with considering things sides. But let's say one side is people in Finkel's orbit, friends, YouTube friends, friendly acquaintances, people I interact with friendly on YouTube. And there's another circle over there around GS. He has friends, friendly acquaintances, real friends, YouTube friends, whatever. People who are nice to him. Now, I've never seen it. I've seen some chats questioning me and my motives, but I've never seen anyone or never heard of anyone confronting GS with his recent decency towards me. I'm talking people who used to hang out in Fodder Wrangler's channel. I'm talking about people who have been with GS thick and thin since he was a YouTube channel. That's one side. And the other side is people who have been with me thick and thin since I had a YouTube channel. I've been confronted, questioned, in a friendly manner, but people give me a hard time for being nice to GS. That's one side. On the GS side, GS, has anyone confronted you in a negative way? Not negative way, what our word is. In a scolding way. In a scolding way about your niceness towards me. The only thing I really saw was someone who used to be in Frederick Wrangler's YouTube circle question, what is Finkel's problem with JJ? I don't know if they were around or not at the time that JJ pulled his little game. For those of you who don't know, April 21st, 2024, not this year, the year before last year, I did a little joke, and I did a community post stating that I have a DOJ document that, I don't remember how I worded it, I'll paraphrase it, a DOJ document that demonstrates J.J. Was involved with illegal distribution of drugs, tampering with drugs, selling. I can't remember all the charges, but I posted it up there, like on the 20th of April. 21st, people were reacting. Remember, I made the accusation about J.J. Fraud at Wrangler on the 22nd of April, 2024, did a video saying that charges were being drawn up. This is the famous, I know for a fact that Kentucky will extradite. There is a John J. Scarborough who works in Meade County, Kentucky, as a jailer. They automatically assumes that the J.J I was talking about was one and the same. Nowhere did I ever say that. But they reacted to it. They reacted it to a very angry Freight Wrangler. Very angry Freight Wrangler. He showed a kind of redacted document that showed charges against David Finkel being pressed in the Kentucky County of Meade. We laughed. I laughed. Muxter laughed. The people who were on, we were doing a live stream when it happened. We all laughed. We laughed. But later that night or the next day, Freight Wrangler did a live stream, and JJ came up and he said, "Yes, this is real. And yes, I did this." It wasn't real. It never made it past the prosecutor's office. I don't know if it made it to the prosecutor's office, but it never made it past it. I laughed. Now, one of the problems I have with JJ, what he's doing to Chris Ryder, I don't believe he believes any of this will stick before a jury. Before it was at 9, 12, however many people, what's a Meade County jury? He knows very well that no jury will unanimously convict Chris Ryder of any of the bullshit he's pushing. I believe that JJ, John J. Scarborough, I think his intention is to cost Chris Ryder a lot of money and time, effort, and reputation fighting for his defense. Lawyer fees, trips to Meade County or wherever court's going to be held, time off from whatever he might be doing in his normal life. I believe that was his intention with me. One, he failed to the prosecutor, and two, I know damn well a Meade County jury would never be able to unanimously convict me. To convict someone in a trial by jury, you need a unanimous jury. I don't think you can find a jury in the world who would unanimously agree to the charges alleged on Freight Wrangler's presented document that JJ swore up and down was his work for weeks after April 22nd. For the people who are asking GS, what is my problem with JJ? That's my problem. Why I can laugh at it, well, first of all, it never got past the prosecutor. I don't know if it got to the prosecutor or not. But I have the resources to travel, to hire lawyers, to absorb these incredible, incredible costs. Kentucky lawyers, they aren't a crap, an ounce of what lawyers around here, D.C., Arlington, Fairfax County, them bitches are expensive. Of course, if I hired a lawyer to represent me in Kentucky, I think it would have to be a lawyer who's passed the Kentucky bar, be a RR. I don't, not this kind of bar, you know, the legal bar. I don't shit 612. Timing. So towards me, I laughed it off. It never came to fruition. Later on, JJ claimed, "Oh, I was just kidding. I was just funning." What's GS one saying? I think it's from a movie. I was funning. I wasn't. But when it comes to Chris Ryder, he doesn't have the resources I have. He doesn't share somebody with the same last name who's a bigwig just across the river in the legal field. Shit, I shouldn't have said it loud. Some of you know my actual last name. I ask you keep it to yourself. But if you know it, Google that last name in DC and add to the Google search lawyer. I did 5 law firms a while back who capitulated to Donald Trump in the DC area. There were 6. I avoided one. There's a reason I avoided one. Okay. Okay. So the person who asked, "What is my problem with JJ?" That's my problem with JJ. Now, I believe, and it could be inaccurate, but I believe for public safety's paranoia towards GS, the people in GS circle who used to be in Flight Wrangler circle, who still adore John J. Scarborough. I understand why he's threatened by some of those people, including John J. Scarborough. I get that. I think this paranoia, well, that's not paranoia, that's a reasonable fear. John J. Scarborough and others in Meade County are costing Chris Ryder a fortune. And I think there have been credible threats, not from John J. Michael Kaiser. Michael Kaiser made some credible threats against, we won't go into that, and some of the people who followed Michael Kaiser, who, by the way, is in jail. I don't know how long. He's in jail, or is it prison? I know. I say jail and prison synonymously. I get it. There's a difference. He's detained. Thank you, Shiz Happens. Okay. He is detained. He's in a place with similar features as the Meade County Jail, only it's not Meade County, it's in Alabama. Okay, I'm rambling. Muxer accuses me of not having brevity. I don't know what the fuck Muxer is talking about. I have brevity. I do have brevity. Okay. 6:15. I really got to go. I don't know. I think there are people on YouTube who talk a lot. Hyperbole, sarcasm, dark humor, spider dog, wishing cancer on people, fantasizing about blowing somebody's back out who you're not sexually attracted to at all, which means an act of violence. Would that be considered a threat, spider dog? Would that be considered a threat? Is that any more credible? Is that any less credible than, hey, meet me at Fort Knox, if you so choose? If you choose to travel to Fort Knox and meet me there, we can do these things. You didn't give that person, Slider Dog, you didn't give that person a choice to choose. So I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of crap on YouTube about I'm going to sue you, or you sue me, or I'm going to press charges. Happens all the fucking time. It very rarely actually happens. There's no reason why, if two people who do streaming and are aware of each other and wish to discuss topics, shouldn't be able to discuss topics together. There's every reason for people like Jeff Appleby to make false assumptions, do a show that's entertaining to the weak-minded. I'm sorry. You find Jeff entertaining other than laughing at, not laughing with, laughing at, kind of a sign of weak-mindedness. That's really all he does on YouTube is make fun of people, and when he's doing so, often gets it wrong. And sometimes he gets it right, but he focuses on the wrong thing, like these are credible threats. And that was an admission of guilt. Silly Jeff. Silly Jeff. Well, 6:17 p.m. And the recording's not set up. The guys had a great closing. More? Had a great closing. Shoot, can't find it. So without an actual closing, where is it? Where'd you guys put that? Outro. Our boy Finkel. Intro. 6:18. Shoot. Run out of time. Run out of time. Shut the fuck up now. Yeah, okay. Can't find it. So I'll just end recording. Have a wonderful